Dapaa TV, voice of the voices.
Yo, what you for? Ma Obibia Apaba about Dapaa TV. Dapaa TV there. I wanna unya and send me free. So open say what Abrabomu nsem na what politics. The mood details a woman tie Dapaa TV. Obema Obibia ya ewo UK nyina Dapaa TV. E ho na etie. Na asemu a abeto dwai tie for yenyina no ya dwenkyere na yedema.
Gamanche, Kentucky Teku through the second. Cecilia Dapaa is a champion fighter. Yes, Gamanche is asking Ghanaians, how can one woman have millions of dollars under her bed? That is what we'll be seeking justice for.
Okay. Did Oral receive anything on Cecilia Dapaa?
Now, because we are careful not to.
The president will formally be making a formal presentation.
Yes.
But I would urge you to
yes, that's the same answer.
I would urge you to exercise restraint so you don't disclose the content of your finding so that once HE, the president, receives the details, he can give the appropriate directions and what have you. So hold on, you have it. It's going to be a public document.
Yes, absolutely.
So permit the president so that, you have it. A copy will be given to you. But for now, on Monday, HE, the president, will receive the oral report. And on that basis, a full disclosure will be made. So calm down.
Yeah. This is, Mr. Kansi, this one is not oral, so I can talk about it. Later, maybe the people can choose to bring it under oral. Valco. Valco. Oh, no. It's terrible. You see, some time ago, Titus Glover was here, insulted us, we a struggling lawyer. He was MD. Things that happened there. Well, and so they were paying. Valco.
But you didn't get it.
We need a forensic audit of Valco. Forensic audit of Valco. Titus Glover was here, insulting people. You're a struggling lawyer. You were MD of Valco. Things that happened there. The day of accountability will come.
Well, we'll wait. As you said, Monday, the report on your work will be submitted to the president, and that would be forwarded, we understand, to the Attorney General. And then the processes of prosecution will start. The concern or the conversation has been around what the next phase of this oral work would be, to the extent that if Oral received so much public support because of the perceived weaknesses in the state institutions mandated to do what you did as a committee, then aren't we going back to the same problem? Because you have not been given prosecutory powers. Mm-hmm. You've just received information from the public, some of which you've gone to verify. You are then going to still go back to the AG. AG will still have to use YOCO, CID, all the others, the judiciary for that matter, to still prosecute this. So what have we solved?
We've solved a lot. You remember, I've always called this decision a master stroke, right? Yeah, GM's decision to set up the committee as a master stroke. Let's handle it this way. You got a huge mandate, right? Mm-hmm. Over 1.6 million, right? Mm-hmm. Because people were upset with the previous government. Omampam, when you go and talk, they say, don't say Omampam.
Well, we don't have to.
Right? That's how people like it, right?
No.
Oh, yes. So that's why I said, we're told not to say. But even the time I said he was part of the criminal syndicate,
so
I was asked to withdraw, but later,
so let's stay on course. You said we withdrew it.
So, you see that there was so much despondency. Mm-hmm. And it was going to take at least another 1 month before GM would be sworn in. So there was that vacuum, huge vacuum. Don't forget, me sitting here, how many times haven't we complained about Chairman Wontumi, the Galamsey fight? We reported to Ekufu Dampare, he refused to do any work. He and, when I say refused to do any work, I'm talking about substantive work, taking the case to court. He and Faustina and Dokufi, they were doing politics. So, you see, even me, sitting here, how many times we call this case here, Dampare would not budge. And is there any wonder that today policemen are up in arms against him? A lot of despondency in the police service, saying that GM should sack him immediately. Otherwise, they will be fired, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a typical example. That even a case on the media here, Dampare would not do anything much here and Ando Kofi. So, it's just, a stereotype of the bigger problem. Right? So people decided that, look, they want GM to begin to take their cases on. But here is the case, he is one person with limited energy, right? So he needed more people to come on board. Unfortunately for us, the Whistleblowers Act allows the system so much so that you can even blow the whistle to your head of family. The elders of your family, your MP, office of the president, etc. Of course, police and Yoko and the other ones are also listed there. So he saw that, if the law allows even NGOs, you know, the Mary Ada, that, you know, we've had the discussions, she was part of some of the previous discussions, and Okujeto pointed out that, but Mary Ada, people come to you as an NGO to report to you, right? They know there is police, they know there is OSP, yet they come to you. So whistleblowing is part of, natural, I dare say, our culture. So JM just set it up to fill that vacuum, that, okay, take your whistleblowing, take your complaints, take your petitions to the oral team, right? So that they can begin to gather them, reorganize, etc., whilst we prepare to take office, and then for the Attorney General to settle in. So hope, if he had left it, he had let that vacuum for this over 1 month, it wouldn't have been good at all for our democracy. So the first thing we shouldn't underestimate is that it signaled that he was going to walk his talk. Very huge signal that he was going to walk that talk, right? And true, you've seen, and I told you, even the first week, I told you that based on information I was giving, remember, it was an eye-opener for me when it comes to the work of the OSP. You know how I had largely supported Kisi Ejabin and the OSP this in here, right? But based on information I got in the first 1 week, then that support quickly dwindled because I saw that Akufo-Addo had muscled Kisi, but Kisi didn't have enough courage to come out against Akufo-Addo like Martin Amidu. So I was like, Kisi, I thought you were strong. You see how Amidu came out and specifically told us that Akufo-Addo was stampeding him on the Dapaa report. Kisi came and was trying to be more nuanced. That's why I told Bobby Banson, my good friend, that over the years, he's also becoming more nuanced. No, the country needs straight talkers. Just put it back one time. Don't try to be nuanced. Try to be politically correct. The meaning will be lost. So I was like, Kisi, but if Akufo-Addo is interfering in the work, be specific. Akufo-Addo is interfering in this work. Simple. And you think, I mean, what can he do? And from that moment, you know that even if you drop one what do you call it, drop of blood, will hold Akufo-Addo accountable. So why is Kisi scared? And the whole system. So that's why I told you that. So for me here, sitting here, having gone on the grounds, it's made me a lot wiser. This is just one example. There's no time to go through other examples. So this oral thing, look, I maintain it's a master stroke. Let's just continue to walk that talk. That stage 2, which will be the investigations and prosecutions, will also be good.
Right. Counsel, thank you. And Bobby Banson, does it really, based on the detail that a member of this preparatory committee has given and what the next phase will look like, does it answer the questions about any difference being made with this team and the work that they have done, being that interface between the citizens and the state institutions, even though there was still the Whistleblowers Act that enabled some sort of protection for whistleblowers to go into these institutions, which was not being done, but then the oral team received so much commendation and support and public trust that they have so much to even give to the president for onward prosecution.
Thank you. I was following Senior Table a lot. Then he threw in the issue of the nuance. I don't know whether to respond to that.
Now you are politically correct.
No, you can't.
You respond to that. I think that, you know, and I've told you, Alfred, before, and these are discussions that I've had with Senior Table a lot of times. Sometimes you find yourself in a position where your fidelity is not to any political party. Your fidelity is to the law and your understanding and appreciation of it. You may be right, you may be wrong, but at the end of the day, you should walk away knowing that I said it the way I understood it. And I don't think that every person you invite here, you expect us to have the same opinion on a subject. There are some subjects where, because of judicial decisions, there are no dissent on it. We all agree. There are some subjects too where, because of judicial decisions, we have different interpretations. There are some that there are no judicial decisions at all. So it's subject to various interpretations, depending on the facts that are available to whoever is interpreting it. And so, I mean, Mr. Tebu has said...
in fact, we put value on divergent views.
Yes.
It's important.
I'm just going to say, you know, when you started, you gave a lot of shout-outs, like we used to call it.
Indeed.
To a lot of your people do. Unfortunately, I don't have that following or constituency anywhere that I have to satisfy. My friend here, Godwin, sometimes we agree on issues. Sometimes we don't agree. And when we don't agree, we don't agree.
That's it.
And, but at the end of the day, we both know that...
That's the beauty.
Yes, you are saying it depending on the facts available to you.
Indeed.
And then your understanding of it. Now, you've asked the question, what is the next phase of oral? I don't think that any right-meaning Ghanaian would resist any attempt for probity and accountability. That is the cornerstone of our constitution. I mean, if for me, as young as I was during the times of the late President Rawlings, one thing that I heard my people speak about with him, when you mention Rawlings, you are talking about probity and accountability. And he doesn't mind whoever you are, whether in his party or not in his party. Those were his key words. And you see the Constitution cuts through all of it.
Yes.
Now, I was happy you mentioned the Whistleblowers Act. So as we speak now, the concept of oral is not new to our laws.
Yeah.
It is not new to our laws at all. The Whistleblowers Act permitted persons who have information as to any form of wrongdoing or breaking the law. There is no limit. Anything that you think somebody else is doing to break the law, you can go and report. Now, the Whistleblowers Act has provided for the persons that can receive such reports and what can be done after the report has been received. Indeed, a member of parliament is mentioned. So I was happy when the oral committee had a member of parliament. Indeed, the auditor general is mentioned. So I said, okay, at least there's a former auditor general. Indeed, the police service is mentioned. And so you say, okay, there is a former police, a very high-ranking former police officer who is on it. And then they say that there's you and then a journalist, Mr. Archer. Okay. Now, I was hoping that there would be some legal framework in line with the existing laws that will guide the ways of the committee. Now, the committee was not a commission of inquiry. The president could have set up and can still set up a commission of inquiry without waiting for a council of state.
Yeah.
Right.
If he thinks that this issue is of national interest, he can set up a commission of inquiry. Everybody will watch it. The commission of inquiry would have the powers of the High Court. They will go through, I think Article 278 also speaks about it.
Yes.
But if you say you are doing whistleblowing, Senior, you know that under the Whistleblowers Act, whoever receives that report has a period of 7 days to submit it to the Attorney General. That is the law. Once you receive this report, you have a period of 7 days to give it to the Attorney General. At the time the committee was formed, we still had the former Attorney General in post. And so whatever report you received, there is no way you were going to give it to the former Attorney General.
Yeah.
Of course, you had to wait for a new Attorney General to be set up. So there is the gap. I don't know when you started receiving the reports and whether you've actually forwarded it to the Attorney General. I'm hearing that you say you are going to forward it to the presidency. And now more importantly, sorry?
Say and to the Attorney General.
And to the Attorney General. Okay, more importantly, Alfred, the Whistleblowers Act states that any such information that is given should be kept confidential.
Yes.
And if you go and disclose any information that you have received under the auspices of the whistleblowers, it's a crime. It's a crime. And so some of the information that had been received by some persons or allegedly received that have found their way into public domain, that was where I was worried. Because the only law, I might say, that governs your work or gives some form of legitimacy to your work provides the framework within which you would exercise that work. One of them is the 7 days. The other one, which I was very concerned about, is the confidentiality. Remember, they are not an investigative organ. They receive it, and then they carry it to an organ of the Attorney General, who then forward it to the organ of the state that is responsible for investigations. And so if I come and tell you that, Senior, I have information that X person has acquired government land for 140,000 cedis, very outrageous amount. In the context of how much Lands Commission normally gives land, they will do premium, blah, 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 blah. I wasn't very happy when I saw that information come out. Because it is information that you received exercising certain authority under a certain law. And that law provides that when you receive it, you must keep it confidential and then take it to the Attorney General, who may then refer it to the appropriate institutions. Now, we have gone round, we are here. What do we do from here? I am hoping that once the Attorney General receives it, he is going to forward it to the necessary state agencies. I think those that can be investigated and prosecutions to be done at that state should be done. But I also think that going forward, especially I've heard thoughts about a private member's bill or a bill that would make sure that government appointees do not receive or do not buy lands or state assets. I think that we need a commission of inquiry.
A commission of inquiry?
Yes, I think.
Into the sale of public lands?
Public lands. For whatever period that we think that may be relevant under the discussion. Okay. So that the membership will not be seen as if it is only for political purposes. It will be presented as a national thing. So that every person or every such information, the provisions for the Commission of Inquiry would be able to go to, and recommendations will be made. That may be the basis of the next step. And they will be able to say that, for me, this is the legacy that was left from the work of this oral committee. Okay. And so I do not think that it should be only left to the Attorney General, but beyond that, now that His Excellency is actually the President, because at that time he was not, he can exercise that power under Article 278 to set up a commission of inquiry and then say that, okay, this issue of acquiring public lands and state lands, we want to, as a people, to be able to give directions. Remember, there's already a Supreme Court decision that says that a public officer is not necessarily prohibited from acquiring public property as long as he goes through the due process. Yes. And it's a Supreme Court decision. And it was given, the lead judgment was by your favorite, but you always give Sofa Akufu. Yeah. You understand me? So if we have to, as a country, decide to depart from that Supreme Court decision or whatever comes with it, I think that a commission of inquiry would investigate these matters, come up with solutions and a report, and see the position of the presidency towards it. And so going forward, I think beyond submitting it to the Attorney General, the president may have to consider, because he doesn't need the Council of States to do this. He doesn't need Parliament to do this. He can do it on his own, to set up a committee that would undertake the hearing and inquiry into what has gone on over the years, and then give recommendations going forward.
So the legality of oral, that question is not in doubt. It's been settled, answered. It has its place in law.
For me, yes, it has its place in law. Except, like I said, that the way some of their activities was not done in accordance with the Whistleblowers Act.
Counsel.
Yes, so I think that we need to put matters in proper context. And the context gives us a better appreciation. First of all, as we appreciate, Article 41F of the Constitution places a responsibility and duty on every Ghanaian. Now, that responsibility is to prevent the misuse and abuse of public property.
It's the duties of a citizen. Eh?
It's the duty, fundamental duty of a citizen. So, the membership of ORA, the committee, even stand alone, have that responsibility. So constituting them does not derogate from that constitutional duty placed on them. Now, the point has also been raised as to what approach ought to be used. One, whether a commission of inquiry, as stipulated by the Constitution, because of the public interest nature of it, or the approach adopted by HE, the President. Now, based on sound legal advice and our own experience with Ghana 50, and the reasoning of His Lordship Justice Samuel Mafosao, may he so rest in peace, where the court made the point that because of the constitutional, dictates relative to commissions of inquiry, it does no longer becomes appropriate to go on that route. Because if you recall, after the work of Ghana at 50, prosecutions were mounted on the work. Yeah. Yes, subject to further police investigation. And if you read the ruling of His Lordship Justice Mafosa, he makes the point that the Attorney General concedes at a point that yes, there was a commission of inquiry. However, the police further conducted further investigation on the basis on which the trial proceeded. Then he likens the scenario to the biblical position where Apostle Paul and co, they had to go on appeal. And therefore, once the commission of inquiry route makes it a judgment of a high court, you place limits as to what you can do with that outcome. And so in this matter, if HE, the president, had used the commission of inquiry based on the soundness of the decision by His Lordship Justice Mafosa in the Ghana 50 ruling, would have placed some legal limits to the outcome. And possibly would have provided an immunity to persons whose conduct may become the subject matter of what Ora did. So I would not, with the benefit of what happened in Ghana 50, advise HE, the president, to proceed on that tangent. Because then would have turned their work into brutal fulfillment. Would have just been paperwork for the optics. But where, for instance, in the work of Ora, there are revelations of serious crimes having been committed, that would underscore what HE will be doing upon receipt of the reports. And so the commission of inquiry route would have been problematic because of the judgment delivered in the Ghana at 50 decision.
No, if I just come in briefly, can you say, you see the point you made? The CI itself says that you can use independent evidence. So Mafusa's decision cannot cut it. But like you are saying, it's a risk.
I would not advise the president knowing the inherent risk.
Excellent. That's what
because I want to say. Because you see, what it does is that it opens the conversation to divergent views.
I agree. So I want you to comment on the risk.
Whether it is this or it is not that. I would not tell the president to take an approach that inherently faces that constitutional or judicial risk. I will not do that.
Right.
Now, what the president has done, which is the Martin Kwebu, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Damian Domlevo committee, is basically for the purposes of gathering information. Without more. That information will be given to the president. Upon receipt of that information, the president will now say, with this information at my disposal, my Attorney General, police, take A, B, C, D actions. On the basis of that, if prosecutable dockets can be generated out of that, the Attorney General, pursuant to his powers under Article 88, will proceed to deal with the matters that may be coming. Some may just be red herring upon the basis of further investigation. Because in this case, my learned senior Martin Kwebu has not taken caution statement from anybody.
It wasn't an investigation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The retired police officer on the committee, Kofi Boakye, at this point is a retired police officer, cannot even administer a caution statement to anybody. So clearly it puts it in the context of limits.
Yes.
Because at this point they are only gathering information. Without more. Now, the idea of whistleblowing that had been introduced to the conversation possibly stretches it.
Why?
Because you see, if you look at her ladyship, I think Novisi Ayeni, her ruling in the Republic versus this matter involving Isaac Odum. the civil servants that were involved in Honorable Mutake's issue.
No, it's Sedu. It's a Sedu.
No, Isaac Odum is one of them. They were.
No, you seen the judge?
Yeah, the judgment.
No,
Okay,
it's Novice. She gave the decision when they did the judicial review. And she made some comments about the Whistleblowers Act and the limits associated with it. I do not think at this point we are dealing strictly with whistleblowing because the Act places limits to what you can blow or what you cannot.
Actually, I don't think so.
No,
It says any break of the law.
No, listen,
Yes.
any break of the law, like you pointed out, when they finish their work, who they should submit their report to among this.
Yes.
The act, you see, when an act provides an avenue for the doing of something, you are supposed to comply with it. That would have taken the matter from the realm of the president. Because in this case, this is a presidential committee.
No, at the time you were set up, he had not been sworn.
But there was a clause. He said the preparatory steps towards the implementation.
That is a preparatory.
Yes.
So at this point, I do not even want us to bring the issue of whistleblowing. This is just a president-elect, mindful of implementing a campaign promise, says that I want this ABCD information gathered for me. Whatever you do with that information, he had not disclosed. With the benefit of time, on Monday, when my senior Martin Kpebu, the Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa and co. deliver or submit their report to him, he will now tell us what he wants to do with the information they have gathered. Now, when you place it within the scope of whistleblowing, because it is a legislation, it has its own statutory limits and scope within which you can use it for. So at this point, I think that we should leave the conversation to the level where it is the president who has set up this committee. Let's wait for him.
The president-elect at that time.
But now president.
But
because you see, if you proceed on that, then it will be as though the committee will cease working upon his assumption. But he gave a clear indication in the preamble that as part of the preparatory works towards he implementing his campaign promise on Ora, this is what he intends to do. So let him receive the report on Monday. I'm sure either through the Honorable Felix Kwachi or any of the president assigns, you formally communicate what exactly he intends to do with the information gathered by the committee. Then we can have a conversation on the way forward. I think that at this critical moment, we should let the president communicate to all of us what he intends to do. Why not? Another president can decide that he will receive the report and say, no, I don't care about it. Now, you see, if you also go by the Commission of Inquiry, by the dictates of the Constitution, the president is obliged to issue a white paper within certain allowable time period. That in itself has also its problem. The president, John Dramani Mahama, can receive the oral report and not talk about it and quietly give it to the Attorney General. I've received this report without even uttering a word.
I thought, Eddie, let's correct you. I thought he publicly said it will be handed over to the Attorney General.
No, the point I'm making is what the AG will do with it, he had not stated. But the point I'm making is that if you go on the Commission of Inquiry, by law, he's obliged to issue a white paper. And to give government policy position on it. All of these things, you don't want to embedding the president with it.
In fact,
permit him to use this strategy. And I think that the decision for the president to go on that route is based on sound legal advice and experience. So as to prevent all those possible risks and then outcomes that
you reference the Ghana of 50 situation, but the problem with the Ghana of 50, would you agree, was with the instrument that set it up, that Commission of Inquiry?
If you read,
because they copied previous instruments which said evidence gathered will not be used for prosecution. So Commission of Inquiry can be set up.
First of all, the instrument itself draws its validity from the Constitution. But the instrument is just to enable the implementation of the constitutional provision. So it is the constitutional provision that crystallizes the outcome of the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry into a judgment of a High Court. And so in his, my Lord Justice Mafusau, in his ruling, gave the clearest indication that if it crystallizes into a judgment of a High Court, then the only possible benefit from it is an appeal.
Godwin, you see, know that so in 2010, based on the problems with the Ghana at 50, a new CI was passed.
That's the one that says you can use the evidence if you gather it independently.
Yes, the problem that we found...
You can even see that even after Ghana at 50, even after Ghana at 50, we went back to Brazil. And that was also a commission of inquiry.
Yeah.
But the point I'm saying is that there are constitutional limits.
Yes.
Because it's clearly the Constitution that says the outcome of the work can crystallize into a judgment of the High Court and not the CI. And that provides a judge the benefit of interpreting it anyhow. Why would you want to take that risk? Right. Especially of a president who had given a determination that I want to ensure that in appropriate cases, there are accountability.
Right.
Why would I take that inherent
your challenge is that, so that I understand, sorry,
yes.
Is that if we use the Commission of Inquiry route, the possibility of the outcome of that
crystallizing into a judgment of a High Court,
that would mean that it will limit the Attorney General from taking, let's say, prosecutorial steps based on that.
And I think it is a risk not worth it. Okay. Now, with the work the president has gotten Martin Kpebu and others to do,
the risk is still there.
No, it's not. There's no risk because at this point, look, it is nobody took or gave a statement under oath.
Yes.
Right. Nobody gave caution statement or anything. So, I mean, this is like any other group of persons going out there gathering information. Beyond that is the one who receives it and what he intends to do. So that risk is completely minimized. In fact, it is non-existent. But and if you recall, the learned Attorney General, during his vetting, at that time designate, when the issue of ORA was put to him, he provided a constitutional context and said, look, ordinarily, for all of us as citizens, we are enjoined to even report crime. At the point of reporting the crime, it's nothing. Because then, the concern raised by the minority, which has to do with the requirement of due process, that was their fear.
Yeah.
That if you are not careful, you may be engaging in revolutionary justice, as they called it.
Yeah.
What safeguards do the Constitution provide for you? The requirements of due process. That is where we'll be getting to the next stage. At this point, it's just information gathering, without more.
But that information gathering,
let's round up on this.
Some have been made public. That was my concern. Because if you are gathering information, where steps, so the president, like I said, I think everybody would support the president in an attempt to take steps to ensure that some of these incidents are not repeated. Because it's government of Ghana or state interest that is at stake, not any political party, not any person walking in the corridors of power. But if, as you have said, Godwin, that all that the committee did was to gather documents, evidence, give it to the presidency. And you have said that because the president used this approach, it means the president can decide to do what he wants with that information. I am very sure, because it was one of the pillars.
No, he's amended it. The president said he will hand over to the Attorney General.
Yes, but he has said that at this stage, we have to wait for the Attorney General and the president to let us know how they want to proceed with that. And what I'm saying is, if no step is taken, then we will all not be happy. We will all not be happy. Because
with the president, I know, and how, the fact of the demonstrable fact that he's in hurry. Again, let's see. Monday is how many days away?
It's just 2 days.
Yes. So we all expect that steps should be taken
immediately.
Yes.
Let's give a bit of flexibility. Maybe it may not be Monday. Sometimes things come up. So let's just say next week.
For the purposes of clear communication, there has been an indication without equivocation that on so and so date, A, B, C, D will be done. will give the president that opportunity. Which, and I know that once upon receipt of your work, actions will be taken. Action man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it won't just be thrown in.
No. Action man. You wait and see. I mean,
I'm
this
just saying that we really
one day
expect
just a few days away.
Just that, yes, we have to make sure.
So,
like
so
you said,
that
due
proposal of the
process-
Commission of Inquiry, that's one you would not advise the president to consider.
Which one?
The Commission of
No,
Inquiry.
not at all.
Okay.
In fact,
my
it would have
response is
been a very dangerous thing to
but
do.
at
Okay.
the time, now that at the time he set up the committee, he
Yeah.
was not president.
Yes.
But now that what I said was that now that he has received the report, or he would receive the report, if he's minded to say that, listen, this is a national thing, I want to give opportunity to people who may have been mentioned in this report. There are two approaches, like you have said. Give it to the Attorney General. Let the Attorney General refer it to any other state institution to now commence proper investigations. That is one approach. I'm not saying that approach is not there. But I'm saying that as a Ghanaian, I would be happy if it is a matter of public interest through a public commission of inquiry.
There are too many limits.
So that, and I'm saying that limits that you were
can be cured.
No, the CI that was passed in 2010
you see, there are
provided for a lot of the remedies
there are two schools of
limits.
thought
Yes.
on that CI. That first is subsidiary. If the Constitution itself says recommendations flowing from has the possibility of crystallizing into a judgment of a high court, can a constitutional instrument derogate from that constitutional consequence? That opens the floodgate for somebody to challenge the
what the
outcome.
CI
But
did-
you see, you see, it is too much of a risk. And so far, the approach adopted by the president provides a desirable outcome. Martin Kpebu has not accused anybody of wrongdoing.
Oh, he has.
That I'm not aware. Beyond his public commentary. Beyond his public commentary. But in the work as oral,
I
he
said
has not
Akufo-Addo
said
should be prosecuted.
No, but that's part of your
No, and I'm
public
saying that
commentary.
information that has come to him in his capacity as ORA have been made public by him.
No,
but
the-
that
you see,
doesn't derogate from the law. If I have a petition, I will respond
no,
to
but you
that.
see the disclosure
Yes.
that, okay, we have received information from National Service in respect of ABCD Ghostly. In on itself does not mean that you have convicted or
absolutely.
judged those
No, the law
individuals.
says you should not
No,
make it
this
public.
one is a
Which
settlement.
it's not
Okay, so
whistleblowing.
let me-
No,
okay.
no, we are not dealing with
Let me
whistleblowing.
answer. No,
You
you
see,
let me
when-
answer.
No, hold on.
dealing with
When-
the
no, hold on. When the president, you see, the president, based
Didn't
on
mention
sound,
whistleblowers.
when the president put up this committee, he was very careful not to say that he's doing this pursuant to any existing
I
legislation.
agree.
Absolutely.
Because you see, once you subject to the dictates of a legislation, it places limit and scope.
But he said it this
No,
morning.
but what I'm saying is
Let
that
me repeat what I said.
okay, it's possible that he may
He
clarify.
brought in
But
whistleblowers.
the
I said it's within the law.
Yes.
But did I say that's what the president expressed?
No, the president was
You
very
asked
clear.
me that
So
it's
you said
within
we
the
should
law.
to that
extent.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that
So let me
clarification
make
is
the
important.
let me
so
make the
that
explanation. I think you guys have spoken. I've been quiet.
Yes,
Let me come in.
No, wait. Well, I started with him for a good reason because he has to.
Yeah, sure.
The work of the committee is not defined by the Whistleblowers Act.
But I'm saying that it's within law, showing you that what the president has done is not new, but that these are already there are already provisions in the law that even support what he's doing.
Okay.
And besides, let's even come here. Your worry is you're talking about Atubre's land matter. You said there was
He
something
didn't
that came
mention-
from.
he said-
So which
he
one
only said
specifically?
I don't know his name, but I know that you
Some-
issued that somebody had bought a land for 140,000 or so.
Oh, that I didn't. Okay.
So
I
that's
think
why
it was pursuant to a
but
Facebook post.
but let me
And
explain
then
maybe how that
subsequently,
one.
lawyers of one of the individuals involved reacted. Subsequent
Yes,
to
it's that one that I'm talking about.
So subsequent
Yes,
to
yes,
that,
yes.
the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto brought what appears to be the lease agreement
Yes,
or something.
yes, that's the
and
one I'm
said,
talking about.
to the extent that the lawyer said nothing of that nature existed with the lease agreement, they claim that a land in cantonment that could cost about $700,000. I've never had the opportunity of, looking at such transactions, and that 700,000, if it's sold on the open market, would have been beneficial to the Republic.
Okay.
And when you buy it at 40-something thousand, it's way below the market value of that. And that, at that point, pursuant to the constitutional provision, Article 41F, citizens are permitted to stop such transactions because then the state will be losing
money.
Okay. With it. So that's it.
Okay, so let me come in 1 minute on the.
1 minute,
So Anansi, if that's that one, so there's this other angle to it.
Okay.
You're saying the one that, yes, I mentioned here that I was informed, right, that he had reached out to settle by saying, I'm returning it. So the context in which the statement was made is that, oh, this land has been offered back. So it wasn't anything that was going to be used for further prosecution.
Okay.
Yes, because the information I got was that, oh, he says, look, take your land. I don't want any more anything to do with it. Okay. That was the context in which it was said, but not a live and this a hot matter that is going on for investigation.
Not like the Vaco one you have threatened.
But the Vaco
but he pointed at the Vaco one.
Yeah, he said it's not oral.
Not oral related.
And the current
That had to be clear on
MD
it.
Sambian. Because Sambian was part of the previous administration. So me, I don't know why JM. I beg you guys look into Sambian's appointment.
Let's
the Valco thing. No. Because from what I'm hearing, there's
because you've
fire.
indicated that
It's fire. A lot of work. So how can somebody be in management in the previous administration now he's made the MD? He's going to cover up. He's going to cover up what they did.
Okay.
Dapaa TV, voice of the voices.